gonna mess around and just edit some videos and do some stuff for Fuel to Food. And I woke up at 3. Casey was just getting off at work at 3:30 or 4. So I had a cup of coffee right as she was getting home. I was like, honey, I'm either gonna go hunt or I'm gonna mess with Fuel to Food stuff and then go fishing in the afternoon. And she's like, you're up, go hunt.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I'm gonna drive south. So I packed all my stuff up and went down. And I stopped on this piece of private that we had permission on last year for deer season, and then started hunting, or we had permission for it for turkey season this year, but it was like, hey, we were here last year, can we still hunt here for turkey? And he was like, yeah, absolutely, which is great for the landowner. We're really happy to have that kind of access and that kind of opportunity. So I stopped, and we had a storm coming in. I didn't think I was going to see anything. I didn't think I was going to hear anything with that storm coming in. I was like,
usually they shut up.
Yeah, I was like,
It gets real windy or storming, and
it wasn't windy, but it was a weird pressure system moving in, and it was just humid. And I was like, they aren't going to be talking a whole lot. So what they wound up doing was right at daybreak, there was 2 birds that gobbled, and I was going to start working off to the west. Well, they gobbled to the east, and I was like, well, I have just about as much land either way, so I haven't heard anything gobble here. I'm gonna go east.
Yeah, go towards the birds.
Yep. So I worked my way halfway up a hill, and it's up a access road for some kind of gas pit or whatever they did in Southern Ohio a couple of years ago with Chesapeake and all those companies.
Yeah.
It's just some
gas and oil pipelines or whatever.
Yeah. So I'm halfway up, and then the 2 that started gobbling must have awoken everybody else, and it was just. I'm like, oh, this is a lot of birds, and I hadn't been down here yet for actual season. I just went down there and scouted and found some scratching and some sign and stuff, and I was like, okay, well, I know where the scratching was, so I'm gonna work my way to that ridge. Well, as I was working my way down there, I had to cross a valley and then go through a thick bottom to get up on top of that. I got stuck in a thick bottom to where there was one above me, probably about 60 or 70 yards. That
still in the tree?
No, he was
down.
Yeah, at this point they were down on the ground. Okay. It probably took me about an hour to close 150 yards because I didn't want to spook anything.
Yeah.
They that one that was above me was close enough that he was trying to get with the rest of the flock that was gobbling, but I don't know if he was a jake or not, but once he took off, like I not only could I hear his wings flap, I heard the leaves flutter from his flap, and I was like, that's close. I need to get where he was. So I probably gave it another 10 or 15 minutes, slowly worked my way up.
You spooked him, you think?
No. He was trying to get to where the rest of the birds were gobbling because
he just took off flying in that direction, I'm guessing.
Yeah, there were 4 or 5 gobbling to the south of me. He came from the north, and I think he was just trying to meet up with his buddies and see what was going on. So I made my way to where he was, where I thought he took off from, and there was a perfect deer trail for me to get up there nice and quietly. And I was like, I'm completely exposed cover-wise. If they don't hear me, they're not going to look. But if they hear me, I'm screwed.
Yeah.
So I made my way up to this little bench, and I sat there, and I only had 2 pretty much bushes of Moriflora on this gas line that I was hiding behind, and I was like, I can't pick a tree. If I get any deeper, they're probably going to wrap around me and then get above me. Their easiest access is going to be this gas line. So I have to use this gas line to my advantage. On the other side of the gas line was the property line, which technically I have permission on, but I only had that permission through our buddy Chris, the podcast guy that is here but not here. Sorry, Chris.
He's here in spirit.
Here in spirit. But I'm not going to walk that property without him. It's kind of one of those things which I don't know how to describe it. Like walking into somebody's house, like hey, I know that I can reach into your fridge, but I also haven't met your wife yet, kind of thing. So it's like
going to someone's house that you've been there before, but with somebody else that also knows them.
Yeah, like meet the family before you start petting the dog, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I was like. I could go over there and chase them. I'm gonna hang on this property that I know I have permission on.
Yeah. Probably the right thing to do. The more what's the word? Yeah, more ethical.
It'd have felt dirty had I crossed that property line.
Yeah.
So I started calling really soft at them once I got into my spot, and I just had that little bit of cover, and they wound up calling back at me, but they weren't gobbling. The toms were yelping, which the only way I can describe a tom yelp, like if you slow squeeze a clown horn.
Yeah, it's like
it's such a
it sounds like a walrus.
Yeah, it's
very weird.
Such a goofy sound.
That's very weird.
And they were really light about it. Like, I'm just going to copy what you're doing. I'm not going to copy the pitch. I'm just going to copy the volume.
Mm-hmm. I've caught a lot of birds in that way.
Which
usually they call it like a Jake yelp.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a very slow and obnoxious sounding yelp.
That's exactly what it was. So they started coming in a little bit closer, and at one point they got a little bit excited and yelped a little bit louder. So I gave them a hard cut, and they gobbled hard. It sounded like 2. It could have been 3, but they gobbled real hard at it. And I was like, okay, I'm shutting up. They answered. They know where I'm at.
Yeah.
There's nothing else I can do. They're either going to close the gap or they're not. So I was hoping for them to come up the gas line, which would have been the easiest route. But Smart Tom's going to be a Smart Tom, and he came up on the other side of the property line. And I was like, all right, I can see you coming up. All I have to do is swing. But I knew that these birds were going to get above me. And once a bird gets above you, they own you.
Yep.
I'm like, all right, as long as you stay within the property line and between that piece of cover and yourself, I'm not worried about it. So I was following the sound with barrel, and I wound up getting into this position right here. And I was
How close was he?
35.
Okay.
I was like, okay, I have a little bit of more floor between you and I. 35-yard shot uphill. I'm gonna put the bead right on the top of your head, expecting some debris and some drop. Punched it, and immediately I was like, dead bird. And he started rolling down the hill, and I stood up like it was like the first time I had stood up in my life. I jumped up so fast. I was like, I got a bird. Finally in April still.
Yeah.
And I ran up and grabbed him.
Every time I shoot one.
Do you?
I'll grab my blind. I'll flip it. It'll do 2 backflips, and I'll take off after that thing. Even though they're not going anywhere, I just still get excited.
Yeah. But it was nice having a bird on the ground, and I was thinking about it throughout the whole process. Like, although it was definitely a lot of work getting into like the preseason stuff. I've never done so much preseason work in for.
Was it just one bird that came in then?
No, it was 3.
There was 3 of them. Okay.
There was 3. The only one that crossed the property line was the bird that I shot.
Okay.
And
the other 2 were kind of hanging back.
Yeah, so I don't know if it's like, hey, you go check it out. No, you go check it out type of thing. But it was I'm happy that he did. But I was
strutting, or he just was kind of looking, and
he came in kind of half strut. But as he made that half strut into the gas line, it was when I made my final turn, and I was on some dry leaves, so I crunched. So he kind of went like, one of those things.
Yeah.
I was like, okay,
just head up, like looking,
like you're not getting any closer.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was something that like I don't like it's so different for deer hunting for me, to where I always knew that deer hunting was going to be something that was going to be like part of me, but never so much turkey. But after talking with you and after talking with a bunch of these guys over the past couple of weeks, 100%, this podcast bred that story. What you have talked about, what the guys have talked about, was probably something that 100% actually that led to that successful hunt, was being calm and collective in those moments, not letting the adrenaline get above you, keeping it suppressed, and believing that what you're doing is supposed to be just a draw for the turkey, not a push.
Yep. Going quiet is a big thing with turkeys.
Yeah.
Because when they hit that 100 yards and you're calling and calling, they just are like, okay, well, they'll come to me. That hen will come to me. If you just get them a little bit excited and then you shut up and they're close enough, or they're coming, they've already worked your way. I don't know why, but you go quiet and they'll come. They always, not always, 90% of the time they'll come in. It might be quiet, or they might come in triple, double gobbling.
Yeah.
You don't know. I was texting one of the properties I hunt down south. The grandkids are getting old enough that they go hunting, and they went out last weekend. I think they're 13, 2 boys. It was the grandson and his buddy. He sent me 6 videos of this turkey gobbling, like 30-second clips. So this bird is just over this knoll, hammering.
Really?
And I'm like, why are you on your phone? He's like, he's at 60 yards. We can't get him to come any closer. And I said, for one, get off your phone.
Get off
And
the
for
phone.
2,
Quit calling.
stop calling. He was sending me videos of his buddy calling, and they're young, and it was not good calling. But this bird did not care. He was going crazy.
Oh, yeah.
I said, Kenny, quit calling and put your phone away. 20 minutes later, he sent me a picture of that bird dead.
Did it really?
Yep. He said they quit calling, and he peeked his head over the knoll right there,
That's all
and he
it
was
took.
40 yards.
Yeah, that's
He
all
went
it
from
took.
60 to 40. Took 10 minutes, but he peeked over, and that's all you needed. Yep. And it took me a long time to learn that. I messed up on a lot of turkey, because you get so excited you want to hear them gobble.
Yeah, you want
and I
to
would,
gobble.
you want to hear them. Like every time they would gobble, I'd call, and then I realized I'm like, man, they'd get to like 75 yards and they'd stop.
Yeah.
Even if I had a decoy, they would just stop. They'd be like, oh, they'd strut, but they would never come in.
She'll come to me at this
Yep.
point. Yeah.
Yep. So I learned less is more when it comes to birds, I think.
Yeah. And
Turkey, anyhow.
That's something that I really took into my tactics for this season, but also kind of a change in mindset approach is that we've always been really aggressive. I can't say always. I guess the past 3 years we've been very aggressive with our turkey, and we're like that with our deer, but it's different because you can be aggressive with a setup for deer.
Yeah.
But you're only aggressive in the setup. After that, you're just sitting there. It's ambush style hunting.
Yeah.
For turkey, you have to read the situation. It's a conversation you're having with the birds. You're not on your time, you're on turkey time.
Yeah.
And that was something that I learned very early and then forgot recently. And I was like, man, that is my fault for not doing this right for a couple of years.
Yep. I have to remind myself all the time because I'll be at a spot where, I heard one gobble 150 yards, and if he doesn't gobble again for 10 minutes, I'll leave.
Really?
Yeah. Not always, but I will want to leave, and I'll be like,
Oh,
slow
he's
down.
gone.
Yeah.
He found
Slow
a hen.
down. Yep. I did it in West Virginia. I had a bird gobbling this year. Gobbled pretty good on the roost. I don't know, 5 or 6 times. They didn't gobble much. It was the same weekend that ours. I was in West Virginia, the same week in Ohio Open, and it was cold and windy and just not great weather. But I left. He wasn't close. He was 300 yards. But I was like, I'll go over there and come back. He never gobbled again. Never heard him. I just was like, I'll let him go for a while,
Yeah.
Probably shouldn't have. Probably should have stayed on that bird.
They take time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just waited him out and did some soft calling occasionally.
So when you pick a spot, are you picking like a food source or a destination to where they're interested, or are you just trying to?
Pretty much I try to locate one off the roost in the morning. Yeah.
And just kind of stay on them?
Yeah. Unless it's a spot that I know, like how you said that you have that one kind of pattern for Casey, like, hey, every day between 11 and 12 he's here. I have a few spots. I used to have a few spots that I would know kind of where they were and what time. Not so much anymore. It's a lot harder for me. I got 3 kids, so
Yeah.
I can't get out and scout like I used to. Basically what I do is try to get there a half hour before daylight, and wherever they're at, I just try to make a move.
Figure them out.
Yep.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Which is a very fun way to hunt.
Yeah. Yep.
It kind of keeps you in it.
Yeah. But I don't really have, most of the spots I hunt are woods turkeys too. I feel like if you had a field or something like you had, what do you call that? Your gobbling knob,
Yeah.
where it's like, all right, these birds are here late morning every day. Most of my spots are kind of the middle of the woods, and so they're either there or they're not,
That's fair.
Yeah. I would say that's my tactic, though, is just trying to find them right off the roost, or if I don't get one right off the roost, I will bounce property to property, the permission spots that I have, and try to get one fired up mid-morning. I think between 9 and 11 a.m., If you don't kill one right off the roost, is your best bet to kill a turkey.
100%.
You find a tom that's all alone,
Yeah.
they will gobble their heads off.
Yep.
Most of the birds I kill, I would say, are later morning like that. I haven't killed a lot right off the roost. I've killed a few, but most of them I would say are mid-morning birds.
Yeah, the one that I got the other day, that's only the second bird that I've killed before 7:30.
Yeah.
Everything else has always been between 9 and noon.
I think I've killed 2 or 3 right off the roost, and most of them are,
Yeah.
mid to late morning birds.
Which is honestly...
Which usually what I would do is I would go back to fairly close to where they roost.
Mhm.
It seems like they tend to hang around that
circle
area.
back a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've always had pretty good luck with that.
So that's something that we've noticed is that if a bird's in an area that they're comfortable in, they're going to hang out in that area. And this time of year, what is it? Today's May 2nd, right?
Yep.
Right now is when they start breaking off a little bit, which I think also has to do with a little bit of hunting pressure. Like they know where they don't want to be. And then as our vegetation's getting taller and the hens are getting ready to nest, if they haven't already, they know that these hens are going to start nesting in certain areas with certain foliage. They're going to check these hens. They're going to start spot checking, kind of like a deer does towards the end of rut. Like they're going to start spot checking these points of interest.
Yeah.
So we change our areas a little bit, and this is the first year that we actually set out trail cameras for turkey. We've never done that before. It honestly kind of feels a little bit like cheating because we have had...
That's not cheating.
It feels like it to me because it's like I turn the page a little bit, and I'm peeking in on the other side, and I'm like, oh, okay. Like I know a little bit more than I used to. Do I like knowing what I know right now? I'm not sure yet.
Yeah. I know what you mean, but
it hasn't changed anything success-wise. Hasn't changed us that we haven't been in the spot to hear or see. So I'm not sold on making it the right or the wrong decision yet. But just putting in that extra bit of work and figuring it out in a different puzzle piece and a different perspective has been really interesting this year.
Yep, trying different things.
What are we at, boss man?
32 minutes.
I was gonna say you keep looking at it.
I was like, well, like conversation kind of started out. I was like, yeah, it's like 26. So it's on, and it picked back up. Okay, we're going.
Half hour.
It goes quickly in this scene.
It does.
I feel like I said
Off of there.
that 10,000 words there.
Yeah.
I was rolling.
Well,
there
it
for
felt
a
like
second.
10 minutes, you know. Goes.
So when you talked about Casey